Do you feel fulfilled in life? The show will begin in 4 minutes. Are you ready? When was the last time you felt betrayed? When was the last time you felt loved? The show will begin in 3 minutes. Are you ready? What did it feel like to be in love? What is the most painful part of being in love? The show will begin in 2 minutes. Are you ready? Are you ready to be transformed? Are you ready to make a change? The show will begin in 1 minute. I hope you're ready. The show will begin in exactly 30 seconds. Get ready. What if I told you you could possibly be making right now one of the few common mistakes with a man that you're dating that could guarantee your relationship with him ending badly? What if I also told you with just a few easy adjustments and changes, you can prevent this from ever happening to you at all? If that sounds a little bit scary to you, don't worry. On today's show, we're going to be discussing 5 things women should never do for a man. That way you can avoid making the accidental mistake of putting your happiness in jeopardy. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. How are all of you beautiful people doing? Who we got up in the chat today? I see we got a set up in here. We got Sweet up in the TikTok chat. We got Rogue up in the TikTok chat. Aline is here. We got Kayla is here. Alice is here. Pieces is here. And of course, we have our three moderators here. Scotty in the TikTok chat, SH, one of our moderators, and Sharice, another one of our moderators. The triple head. Welcome, all you beautiful people in the TikTok chat. Who we got over in the YouTube chat? I see we got Base Beauty here. We got Jasmine here. We got Tanisha here. We got Kayla is here. Another Taylor is here. We got Jazz is here as well. Let me scroll up and make sure I shout out any of the channel members that are here. Irina is here. Welcome, Irina. Flower is here. And one of our channel members, Henya, is here as well. Welcome, all you beautiful people. So good to see you here and have you part of the show today. Okay, let's... Damn, I tried to be cool and then it didn't work out. Let's pretend like I did that real nice and smooth. All right, let's get this thing started here today, because we're going to be discussing something that I think is really important for you to understand. And I've been noticing a lot of you are making these mistakes in your relationships with guys. Okay, so I want to discuss this with you so that you know exactly what not to do. All right, so we're going to start off real hot, real heavy today. All right. Number one. Okay, you get my drift here. All right, so number one mistake is going to be progressing your own relationship forward. Now, the reason that this is number one, and this is a mistake that I see a lot of you making, is because whether it be because you get anxious, or whether it be because you think that your man is moving too slow or not being intentional enough for you in this relationship, you begin starting to do his job for him, right? Taking on his role and starting to push the relationship forward. Remember, I've talked to you guys in the past about pacing your relationships and pacing the men that you're dating. Why are you supposed to be doing that? Because the guys in their masculine energy are supposed to be the ones pushing things forward, and then you're supposed to be the one pacing things as they're moving along, right? Making sure you're sure of what he wants, what you want, and that everything is okay. Okay, so but in order for you to pace things, he has to be the one progressing them. If he's the one progressing them, then things won't be moving in the right direction. Okay, let's break this down a little bit more in a visual for you so you can understand exactly what this all means. All right, so let's imagine here that you have a house that you want to build. Okay, right? So this is going to be your brand new dream home, right? But this house, right, is still right? So your house right here is still unbuilt. You still got to put some furnishings in it. You still got to lay some of the bricks. All you got is the frame here, right? And for the most part, there is still a lot to go here. Now you come into this house and let's say you're over here and you look at this house and you see all of these other You come over and you look at your house and you see all these other people working on your house, right? These are all of the These are all of the construction workers that are working at your house here. And so, of course, naturally, you're just, stopping by. Maybe you're in the area, you drive by and you want to see what's going on. You want to kind of inspect the work that they're doing. Of course, this is your dream home that they're building. So you're kind of excited to see what's going on inside your dream home while it's being built. And let's say, for the sake of example, you go in there into that house and you enter the front door and you don't like what you see. You're like, hey, this should be over here. You got to build the cement like this. I don't like the way this foundation is. And you start literally taking out the cement truck and you start pouring the cement where you think it should go, smoothing it out, right? You start putting up the different bricks and the different parts of the drywall on your house how you think it should go. You tell them, no, this is how you're going to set up this step. It's supposed to look like this and it's supposed to be angled like this. And then the workers, the construction workers, are sitting there like, oh my God, this girl is insane. What are we supposed to do? And the other construction workers are talking to each other like, hey, you know what? It's her house. She's the one paying for this. Let's just sit back, relax, and let her do her thing. So you're over here, you're pouring cement, you're grabbing shovels, you're digging dirt, you're putting things where you think they're supposed to be, you're laying the drywall, and you're like, guys, it's got to look like this, it's got to be like this, everything's got to be perfect. You guys don't get it. You're not working on this the right way. You don't understand the vision that I have. This is not what I envision, and you're doing everything. So then they eventually say to themselves, all right, ma'am, I see you are really passionate about your dream home. We'll just leave you to it. And so you're over here working on your house and working on your house and working on your house. And then let's say a couple of weeks goes by, right? And you eventually have to go back home. Obviously, you can't just be working there 24/7. And you let these contractors do their thing, right? But you come back every so often and you continue working on this house and taking over their job and fixing what you think should be done this way and what you think should be done that way and everything. And eventually they just say, you know what, you got it. We're just going to do only what you want and we're not going to put our own input into it. And so eventually you come back to this house when it's supposed to be done after a few weeks, and you look at this house and you're like, nothing looks like it's supposed to. Now that I'm finally seeing it built up, I'm seeing there's some electrical issues. There's some stuff over here that isn't how it's supposed to be. It looks like this brick is a little bit uneven. My whole foundation looks like it's a little bit uneven. This doesn't look solid. I'm really concerned that my dream home doesn't look how it's supposed to look. And let's just say the person that's with you, right? Let's say the head contractor is with you after you're inspecting your dream home. And the head contractor says to you, yeah, we changed up a bunch of stuff and we just basically stopped working on the things that you said were wrong and that you wanted to do yourself. So we let you input all the things you wanted to put into your house and do it how you said you wanted it to be done, and just let those things be because that's how you said you wanted it. And now you're upset because your house is all out of whack and nothing looks, and the final touches and the finishing product doesn't look at all like you wanted it to look. Okay. So some of you are probably hearing this and thinking, where is any of this going? How does this relate to me progressing my relationships forward? Let me connect it for you. See, when you're in a relationship with your man or the guy that you're talking to, your inclination is to say, hey, I don't like what's going on here. I don't like what's going on in my house. I want to change some things up. I want to lay the brick a different way. I want to do this a different way. I want to color this and shape all of this a different way, the way that I envision it or think it should go, how I want it to go. And you don't leave the construction workers, the people who are contracted to do this job of building your house, to do that job. The same way in your relationship, when you begin progressing your relationship forward, you stop the man from doing the job that is supposed to be his. In his masculine energy, he's supposed to be the one taking this relationship forward, pushing it forward because he wants you, because he wants to be with you, because he's intentional about you, right? And because he knows how much he wants you, he does everything necessary to get this relationship to the next level, right? i.e. meeting his parents, okay, right? Introducing you to his friends, right? Taking you places and making the relationship more and more serious, right? He might ask you out on more dates. He might buy you a promise ring, right? All these type of things that as a guy begins to take the relationship more and more serious, he progresses it further and further and further along as he's supposed to. But when you're doing the progressing of the relationship, i.e., when you're the one saying, hey, I should meet your parents now. Let's schedule the logistics of me meeting your parents. Hey, I should be meeting your friends now. Why don't we call up John and why don't we call up James and we'll schedule a time where I'll meet your friends now. And see, very easily, you can get into the habit of being the one to progress your relationship forward. And so you want to know what that guy does, similar to the construction workers? He takes his hands off the wheel and he says, okay, if you want to be the one to progress this relationship forward and you want to be the one to tell us how we're going to move forward, then you go ahead and do that. But what it starts to show him is that he can take his hands off and you will do all of that hard work. So what does he start learning that he doesn't have to do? He doesn't have to do any of the progressing, any of the moving forward. But you know who becomes very unhappy with the final product of the house, of the situation, of the relationship, when he's the one doing all of the moving forward? You're the one that ends up unhappy. Why? Because the finished product is you in your masculine energy doing all of the work to keep this relationship going and progressing forward, and him the one just saying, okay, I guess we can do that, right? And you've literally flipped roles and reversed roles where you're more like the man progressing things forward and he's more like the woman just receiving from you or saying, hey, okay, I'm fine with that or I'm not fine with that, okay? And a lot of times when you're in a situation like this and you're the one progressing the relationship forward, you're gonna find pushback from the guys that you're dealing with, okay? So it just goes wrong in multiple different ways, right? And it just can easily spiral outside of your control, which is why you never, ever, ever should be doing the job of progressing the relationship with the guy that you're with for him. Never do that job for him. Always make sure that you're allowing the space for the men that you're with to be the ones progressing the relationship forward. All right, let's go to our next one. Okay, and our next one is a really, really big issue. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of a chart here. And I'm gonna describe to you a little bit of a scenario here so you can understand this. In point number 2. Chat, be honest with me. Be honest with me and tell me the truth. Have you ever babied a man? Chat, let me know if you've ever made the mistake of doing that. It's easy to fall into this trap. Now, so we're going to do a little bit of a chart here just to kind of crystallize this in a visual, okay? So let's say that you're with a guy and you really want him to be the man that you're looking for. You really like him. You think he's handsome, he's good looking, he's got a great smile, he's tall, all that good stuff. But there are certain aspects of him that just aren't what you're looking for or you think could be better, i.e. his ability to, let's just say, problem solve. And so let's say one of the really prevalent problems in his life is that he is broke, okay? So he's struggling in the money department. He doesn't have a lot of money. He can't do a lot of things. And because he doesn't have a lot of money and he can't do a lot of things, he can't really take you places. He can't really pay for anything on the dates. He really is very limited in what he can do with you in your romantic relationship because he has so little money, all right? And let's just say, for the sake of example, you are okay? You're a corporate girly. So you've got a nice little cutesy 9 to 5 job. You go into an office, you dress all cute in your business casual, and you make some good money. So you're not struggling in the money department. The problem is the guy that you're dating is not a corporate man, all right? So he's struggling in this money department, and you're trying to get him on your level because you're trying to receive some good princess treatment from a man who can make you feel like a woman by treating you well and providing for you and at least doing something nice for you other than just sitting in the house and watching Netflix. But here's a couple of problems here, all right? Let's just say, for the sake of example, this guy, instead of spending his time, trying to make money or figure out how he's going to get his money situation solved, he spends majority of his time. Let me see if I can actually draw this here. He spends a majority of his time playing video games. Okay, that's what this is supposed to be, right? Playing video games, right? And he plays video games morning, noon, afternoon, and night, right? All the time. And he's playing those video games instead of doing what he should be doing, which is figuring out how he can make him some money so that he can actually start taking you out and actually start treating you well in this relationship with you. And so, do you want to know what this is, why this connects with baby? When you are in a position where you're thinking, hey, I know he needs to solve this, but I know he's not doing it, right? He's supposed to be looking for jobs or trying to make more money. He's not doing that, though, and I want him to be the type of man that can take me out on a fancy dinner. So you want to know what I'm going to do while he's playing his video games? I'm going to be on LinkedIn, okay? I'm going to be on LinkedIn researching, putting his resume together, and applying for different jobs for him that, based on his work history, his limited work history, that he can get him a nice little corporate job, and he can be able to work somewhere that he would be able to make money and be able to take me out to a nice restaurant, okay? So in the morning times when he is over here and he's consuming himself, right? He's consuming himself in the morning here. A nice big bowl of Captain Crunch and Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and you are in your mornings emailing recruiters while he's eating, the third box of Captain Crunch in that morning, right? You can start to see how you are now babying your man. See, this is the thing that I want to kind of crystallize for you in this explanation. Babying your man isn't cuddling him or being all cute with him or saying, talking to him like he's a baby. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm referring to when I say babying your man is you problem solving for him in areas in his life that he should be taking care of. When he is broke, needs money to actually just live in general, but also needs money to be the man that you need him to be able to protect and provide, right? Specifically provide, to be able to take you out to nice dinners. And that's his job to problem solve in his life and figure out how he's gonna make that happen or get that done. And you end up problem solving for him in order to get that done. You're babying him, okay? You're doing his job, right? In terms of the relationship and the things that he should have his focus on and care about, you're doing that job for him. Why are you doing that job for him? Because you want him to be the guy that you're looking for, but the reality of it is, this is not the guy you're looking for, okay? It's not these aren't the qualities or character traits of the guy that you're looking for, assuming you want a masculine man. I don't know, maybe some of you like this. Broke, playing video games, eating cereal all the time, okay? I don't know, maybe that might be your thing. Assuming it's not your thing, though, right? This is not something where you should be saying, hey, I'm going to take a step to solve your problem. Now, this is very different from your man asking for help when, let's say he's broke and he's asking you for help. Hey, I know you work as a corporate girly. I'm putting my resume together. Can you look it over and just tell me if you think it looks nice or if I should reward things, right? That's taking initiative because he wants to make a change to his life. He wants to problem solve and he's using you as a resource. I'm not saying don't help your man. What I'm saying is don't be the person who's taking the initiative to make a change for him or in his life when he doesn't even seem to want that for himself. You're babying that man. Oops, excuse me. You're babying that man because you know that if you leave him to his own devices, he won't take control of his life. So what do you feel you need to do? You feel you need to take a step forward and do things for him that he doesn't even want or desire to do for himself, the same way you would do for a baby, right? You're looking out for the baby's best interest because when the baby is rolling on the floor and licking random poles, you prevent that baby from doing that because you know what's best for that baby. The same way, when you know your man is broke, sitting on the couch playing video games, eating cereal in the morning, you know that's not going to yield him the future result that you think he wants, which is to have money and to be able to take you out. So you take initiative and do what you think is best for him. You're babying that man. Okay? Do not baby men, especially when they don't have the desire or the internal motivation to do that thing for themselves. When you do this, you're only going to end up in a situation where you're overextending and overexerting yourself in your relationship with him, trying to get him to be the man that you actually want in your life. When in reality, what you should have done from the very beginning is look for the man that you were actually looking for in your life, which is not this. All right. Does that make sense? So Amar says we can't do their lives for them. No, you shouldn't do their lives for them, nor should you want to, because at that point you don't have a man, you have a baby, right? And I'm assuming you don't want to have a baby as a man. Okay, right? So that's the thing that I want you guys to understand about point number 2. And why this is very, very bad. Please never do this because this can be an easy trap to fall into anytime you start to get interested in a guy and you're noticing that maybe he doesn't see what you see in him. Okay? Right? If he doesn't have the desire to make a change for himself, you can't be the one to have that desire for him. You have to allow men to be as useless as they feel like being. And then if they're so useless that you can't do nothing with them, you say, I'm going to go find me a man that can actually be a man. Okay. It's not your job to, turn the men into men. All right. This ain't Build-A-Bear, right? You're not, Babisha the Builder. Okay. Let's go to our next one. And this is one that a lot of you make this mistake. Let me just look through my note here, okay? So, I didn't write this well. I want to rewrite it so it looks nice. Okay. Big mistake. Okay. Do not sacrifice. I shouldn't even say your. What's better to say in this scenario, right? What I don't want you to sacrifice is I don't want you to start sacrificing you time. Okay. So that's different from your time. I don't want you to sacrifice you time. Here's the thing that I really need to lay out for you and crystallize for you. While you're in a relationship with a man, of course, there are going to be some adjustments made because now that you're in a relationship with him, he's going to take up some of your time. You're going to spend time with him. You're obviously supposed to enjoy your time with him, but your schedule and your routine changes because now you have someone that you're regularly spending time with, okay? But what you want to make sure that you never do with a man is sacrifice the you time that's supposed to be present whether or not he's in your life or he's not in your life, okay? And this is very important for a reason that I'll explain to you in a visual, okay? So let's imagine that one day you're feeling really, really hungry. So you decide to cook yourself, let's just say you decide to cook yourself a big heaping pot of let's just say you got here some chicken fried rice and you got broccoli here, all right? So you've got your chicken fried rice and your broccoli. You cook a big pot of that, right? Let's just imagine. And so you've got a nice big pot of chicken fried rice and broccoli sitting on the stove, okay? And right after you finish cooking that nice big heaping pot, it's steaming, got steam coming off of it, okay? So good, you take a couple of pictures for your IG story because you're super proud of this meal and you're like, oh my God, this is gonna bust me down. You just finished a leg day, so you're extra hungry, all that good stuff. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's say right before you're about to sit down and eat, your brother comes in to the kitchen and he says, oh, is that what that was smelling like? I can smelling that from upstairs. Yo, what did you cook? That's crazy. And then you're like, nah, cooked up some chicken fried rice. You know, I bust that done. You know, I had the chef in me, right? And you're bragging a little bit and your brother's like, oh my God, that looks so good. Can I have just like a little plate? You looks like you cooked a lot. Like, is it okay? And you're like, you know what, right? He gassed you up. He made you feel good about, cooking this. So you're like, whatever, you can have you a little plate. It's all good. It's all good, right? And your brother takes him a little bit of a plate. You know, your brother, he's sneaky, right? So when he says he wanted a little bit, he takes a lot of it, right? So he takes some off the top and he sneaks some extra while you're not looking. He runs back upstairs to start playing video games. You're like, oh, it's whatever. I cooked a big pot. Then, right after you finish scrolling through TikTok because you get distracted, you stand up to go and eat. And your mom walks in. And she smells what's going on in the kitchen and she's like, oh my God, I was gonna order something for us to eat for dinner, but what you made is so amazing. Can I have some of that chicken fried rice in that pot? That smells so delicious. And once again, you're like, okay, Mom, you can have some of this chicken fried rice. And so your mom has some as well. And then 5 minutes after that, your dad walks in and you know your dad. You know your dad, when he comes home, he is a hangry man. And he wants to eat something as soon as he gets home. And when he gets home, he doesn't even ask. He says, honey, I love you and I appreciate you. So I got to get just a little bit of this chicken fried rice. And by the time mom, brother, and dad all have their little bit of chicken fried rice, there ain't no more left for you. And now that after you finished making all of that food for yourself, you're left the only person who didn't get to try or eat any of your chicken fried rice. Meanwhile, all your parents are rubbing their belly. Your parents are rubbing their belly and your brother's rubbing his belly about how good that meal was and how you gotta cook that again. But you're starving, okay? Now, this is how I want to kind of tie this into sacrificing your time and why you should never do this for men. See, here's the thing. See, it feels good to give to people that you love and you care about, especially when they make you feel good about the process of giving. Your brother came down, he gassed you about it. Your mom gassed you about it. Everyone loves your chicken fried rice. So it felt good to give some of it away, have them try it and feel like, damn, I really did do that. You know what I mean? I did the big one, all right? But at the end of the day, see, when you're starving and you're unhappy because you didn't get anything to eat out of the chicken fried rice that you made, the only person you really have to blame for you starving after not having any food left is you. Because you gave away all your food to everyone else by choice. The only thing you had to do in your relationship with him was to say no. Oh, let me start my camera. Camera went out. Sorry, chat. Whoops. Let me just plug back in my other SSD. That was quite strange. Oh, that's why. Sorry, chat. Okay. Excuse me. All right. So, in this analogy that I gave here, right? And the only person you have to blame for starving, the only person you have to blame for being hungry still and not having any chicken fried rice for yourself to eat is you. Because you decided to give away all of your food to other people because you felt good about giving, right? Nothing wrong with giving, but you have to understand at the end of the day, whose happiness matters most? Your own. And so when you're unhappy because you gave away all your food and you're the only one starving, you're the only person you have to blame for your situation. So in your relationships with men, what's going to happen is you're going to be more inclined to sacrifice the you time you're supposed to have for yourself because you want to give and you want to feel good about giving. And because all of these people in your life, specifically your man, is asking for that time. Your man wants to spend some more time with you. He wants to hang out. He wants to talk to you. He wants to phone call you. He wants to go to this place. He wants to go to that place. He wants you to come meet his family. He wants you to go meet his friends. And he wants to take all of your time because he loves you and cares about you so much. But the problem is when you give away all of your time and you leave no more time left for you, you end up starving. Obviously not physically, you end up starving emotionally because that investment, that time, that energy that you used to be pouring into you is now all poured into that man, okay? And as you pour more of your you time into him, you start to lose yourself in the relationship. You lose your friendships, you lose your family members in some cases, right? And you lose the things that were important to you ongoing throughout this relationship because you've made all of your you time his time. And you've given away all your chicken fried rice to everyone else in your family. So yeah, they're all happy, right? And in the example that I gave, and yeah, your boyfriend is happy, like your family members are happy, but at the end of the day, you're still starving and unhappy. And if you're still starving and unhappy, what was that all for? Right? Because the truth of the matter is, all you had to say to keep yourself full or to keep yourself able to have some of the meal that you just cooked, all you had to do was tell them no. It's painful to tell people no. It's painful to set boundaries. It's painful to make sure that your happiness comes first. But at the end of the day, when you finish eating your chicken fried rice that you spent all this time cooking, you'll be satisfied and happy instead of sitting there being the only one unhappy and starving. And they will live. They will be perfectly fine if you don't give them all of your food. Does that make sense to all of you so far and why that's so important, okay? Is there any parts that's confusing about that? I know that that was quite a in-depth little analogy there, right? Okay, does that make sense? So that was number 3, okay? I hope that makes sense to all of you, right? Now, number 4 is gonna be scary. I will not lie to you, okay? Number 4, very common, especially when you like a guy, which is exactly why we're gonna discuss this here, okay? So, oh boy. Okay, there's a very specific reason I'm putting this here, because I see this in helping hundreds of you women and beautiful souls. I see this happen a lot. When you really like a guy and you're going through situations with him, right? Disagreements, arguments, back and forth. Sometimes he might push your button. Sometimes he might even cross boundaries of yours. What you're inclined to do in that situation is to essentially, because you don't want to continue being in an argument or a disagreement or a fight, you want to quickly get through this apology, have him be sorry for what he did, and have him try and make this up to you. Why do you want to do that? Because you don't want to be in a fight anymore and you just want to solve these problems. Okay. That doesn't make you a bad person. But here's the problem though. In the process of trying to quickly get through this disagreement and just make it okay again, you start to mold that man's apology for him. Now, what does molding an apology look like? Let's get in this visual so that we can really get into the weeds of what molding an apology looks like, okay? So I'm going to give you an analogy and I'm going to connect it to you with everything that we're talking about, okay? So let's say you're back in high school, right? And in high school, you've got a book to read, right? And let's say this book here that you're supposed to read and give you're supposed to read this book here. It's To Kill a Mockingbird. Have you guys ever read that in your school, in your high school when you were younger, okay, or in elementary, right? And To Kill a Mockingbird is the book that you're supposed to read. And you and 4 other members of your team are supposed to give a presentation of To Kill a Mockingbird in front of the class after you read it, okay? So let's just say you have here there's Bob, there's Jane, there's Jim, and there's you. So you are the 4 members of your group project here. And let's just say for the example, Jane, she's a real go-getter. She likes to have control over her project. She likes to stand up and talk and do things. So she's really in control of this here. Bob and Jim are good sidekicks. They're also, B plus students, and they like to do a good job in this, in their class, right? You're a little bit more lazy. Let's say, you're on the basketball team. You also do volleyball. You've also got piano. You're more tired. You've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. You're a popular kid too. All the people love you. Everyone's always trying to message you, ask you to come here and go to this party. So you don't really have the energy to put forth your best effort in this book presentation. And because you don't really have the energy, you let Jane, Bob, and Jim take most of the work up in presenting this book. So they put together their presentation on PowerPoint and they, agree on what they're going to say and they tell you what you're going to say in your part and you're like, oh, this is perfect. I'm going to get an A for this group project and I'm going to get an A for my part as well, even when she grades me because they're just telling me exactly what to say. And you come up there in the classroom and now you're presenting To Kill a Mockingbird in front of your whole classroom. You go through the slides and then you go through everything that you're supposed to talk about in the slides and you say it perfectly. You're like, oh my God, I'm perfect. Everything is amazing. I did this perfectly. I'm going to get an A. And then your teacher asks you, hey, can you help me and elaborate on the point that you made in To Kill a Mockingbird? What do you think one of the themes is in chapters 3 to 5? What did you take from those chapters and how do you think it applies to the bigger message of the book? Can you explain that in more depth? And you're like, chapters 3 to 5. So they were talking about how the bird is flying through the air, and when the bird's flying, the nest represents home. And when the nest is representing home, it's like coming back home. Like the song, I'm coming home, and you bomb. You fail your presentation. Because when you're asked to explain what's going on in the book in depth in a way that you were unprepared for, it becomes very obvious that you never read the book. You never even opened the book. Okay. So why am I giving you this analogy and this story to help you understand what this point is? The whole point of this is, see, when you mold a man's apology for him, right? Let's say this guy that you're with, let's say he crosses one of your boundaries, all right? He shows up extremely late to a date that you have, and he essentially stands you up. And you start to say, okay, you know that you're wrong for that. You should know that you're wrong for that. Instead of allowing him to come to you and say, oh, I was wrong for standing you up. I apologize. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make it up to you. Instead, you send him a long text. I can't believe you stood me up. You should be so sorry and you should apologize to me. You've got to do something for me and you should come talk to me and you should message me and you should call me tonight to explain to me why you didn't show up and how you're going to make this better. In fact, after you apologize to me, you deserve to take me out somewhere even nicer to make it up to me the fact that you stood me up on this date. You're molding his apology for him, especially when he hasn't even apologized to you or told you that he's even sorry or cares about the fact that he crossed this boundary or hurt your feelings. Now, I know that it's natural for you when you're upset to blow up and to tell him how you feel and tell him what you expect and tell him all the ways he's wronged you, but it's always a mistake and you should never do it. Right? Because similar to this analogy that I gave you, you see, when you allow men to escape away of your disagreements, your arguments, or the times where a boundary is crossed, when you allow them to escape away simply by just saying, okay, or simply by just following exactly what you told him to do, he has no actual understanding of what he did, or he has gotten no practice in the art of using his critical thinking skills to work through the problem and then figure out a solution to make it so that this is no longer a problem, right? Problem solving and being able to resolve conflict is very, very important for the men that you're dating in a relationship. Because if the men that you're dating don't have the critical thinking skills to understand how to problem solve and then, conflict resolve conflict, then you are going to fight a losing battle here. And by the time he actually has to do critical thinking, when he doesn't have that practice or that muscle memory, you're going to be like in this analogy where you're standing up here and by the time you're asked to explain something that happened in the book, all of a sudden you go blank. You don't know what to do. Because you have no knowledge of the book, you've had no practice understanding the themes or writing them out or knowing what this book is about. So when you're on the spot here and you're forced to make a decision or actually use your critical thinking skills to dissect a specific part of the book, you can't do that. The same way, when you get into this habit of molding men's apologies, they lose that muscle memory. It's literally like a muscle, right? And that muscle essentially atrophies where they are no longer able to use their critical thinking skills to say, my partner is upset. I see through my partner's withdrawal, through their body language, they're upset. I'm a man. I know that they're upset for a reason. I have to use my critical thinking to figure out what it might have been that made her upset. 99.9% of the time, it's pretty obvious, okay? And the men know it if they really thought about it. And then they say to themselves, okay, I must have said or done something that made her upset. It was probably this. Let me figure out how I can make this better, put my best foot forward, apologize, and take care of this situation and resolve this conflict so that it's no longer an issue. Okay? And if you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, I don't think men are capable of doing that. That sounds really scary. I don't think the men that I date are going to be able to do that. Break up with that man. Get rid of that man. That's not the man that you're looking for, because the men that you're looking for should be able to problem solve, resolve conflict, and use their critical thinking skills to work through problems. Okay? And you should never be doing that job for him. Once you begin doing that job for him a couple times, his muscle memory will atrophy and he'll begin sitting back and never addressing problems until you take the job of addressing it. He'll only do or come up with ways to resolve the conflict when you tell him how the conflict should be resolved. He'll only apologize to you when you tell him he should be apologizing. But he doesn't actually do anything, and he doesn't actually recognize any problems or issues. All he's doing is being a Tweety bird and repeating back to you exactly what you're saying. That's not sustainable for a long-term relationship. We always talk about sustainability on this show, right? Because sustainability is what you're looking for in your relationships with men. You're not looking for quick flings or cheap thrills. All right, so let's hop into number 5. And actually, number 5 is one of the most important, actually, I would probably say the most important one on this list here, okay? That's actually kind of why I saved it for last. Okay, because I don't want any of you doing this. So please pay attention. Never, ever, ever dim your light for a man, okay? What does dimming your light mean? Dimming your light is bringing yourself down a notch, right? Not trying to be too big, not trying to be too boastful, or not trying to show up that guy because you don't want him to feel bad about yourself. It's a very easy trap to fall into when you already feel like you're doing better than the guy that you're dating. I want to put this in a visual for you guys so it can really stick in your brain past just me talking words at you, okay? So let's imagine, right, you're here and this is going to look really funny. Let's imagine you're on a teeter-totter with your man, okay? Just a visual. And on this teeter-totter here, you're holding this down and weighing this down, not because you're big, okay? That's not, you're just a little chunky, all right? You've just been eating good. Your dumb truck's holding this down. What is holding this down here is the fact that you are living the big dog life, right? So you make $100,000 a year, and he makes $10,000, all right? You have a nice car, and he rides the bus, all right? You have a social life, and he has video games, all right? So here's the thing though. The reason that this scale is so imbalanced here is because when you meet this man, yeah, you know, he's cute. Yeah, you know, you can work with him. You think he's all right, right? He's not a bad person, but you recognize that the place you're in your life is a very different place than he's in his life. And so what do you do to compensate for the fact that you guys are in two different places? Because when you're in a position like this and the scales are so unbalanced, what you naturally want to do is you want to essentially make these scales balanced. You don't want to be on a different level than your man. You want to be up here where things can be even, or at least feel like that, right? That's where you want to be instead of it being so unbalanced like this. So what are some of the things you do when you're in a position making $100,000 a year? You got a nice car, you've got an amazing social life, and he's making $10,000 riding the bus playing video games. You try to even things out by dimming your light. Okay? You downplay how much you make. You try to ride the bus with him instead of taking your car, right? You try not to talk about your friends too much or going out because every time you talk about it, you know that it gets him upset. You know that it makes him feel away, okay? Emmy says, even what about your accomplishments, right? Yeah, let's say you work this $100,000 job and at this job you get promoted, right? And you want to kind of downplay your promotion because that $100,000 might turn to 120, and you might get upgraded to the C-suite of your company, and he's still riding the bus, still working at McDonald's. Nothing wrong with McDonald's, but you get my point, right? And here's the problem though. As you're dimming your light, trying to make him feel better about himself, in order for you guys to be balanced in this relationship, you only end up making yourself feel not good about being you. And you try to hide who you are to make him more comfortable with who he is. But the problem with someone who is already insecure about who they are is that they will never feel good no matter how much you try to dim your light for them. Because when they're unhappy, especially men, when men are unhappy with the position that they are in their own life, there is no amount of dimming that you can do that will ever actually make him happy. So you want to know what he does in order to balance these scales, right? In order to get this like this, where you guys are even like that. He attempts to humble you. And the way that he attempts to humble you is by exercising his ability to be a masculine man against you, towering over you with his masculinity, by essentially putting you down, making you feel worse about yourself, making you feel like you're not worthy, right? And he begins dimming your own light as well to try to make you guys feel like you're on the same level. He can't make more money than you, but he can degrade you until you feel like the money you make is worthless and that you're not as good a person or as amazing a person as he is, because you guys are basically even. Or if not, he is even better than you. Okay? And this is specifically why I never want you dimming your light for anyone. Because the moment you feel that it's even necessary to dim your light for a guy you're in a relationship with, you're in the wrong relationship. And you should never begin dimming your own light in order to maintain that relationship. Okay? That's only going to set things down a downward spiral that you're never going to be able to recover from. Okay? On top of that, you're actually making yourself feel worse about you to make someone feel better about themselves. But remember, we always talk about your own happiness and making sure you're good and putting yourself first. You aren't putting yourself first when you're putting yourself down to make someone feel good about themselves. You should be able to feel good about yourself while your partner also feels good about themselves. And if you feeling good about yourself makes your partner feel bad about themselves, that's the wrong person for you. So you never put yourself down or dim your own light in order to even the scales so that you and this guy are on an even playing field here, okay? You find you a man that can already be on your level, if not above you, inspiring you to go higher and higher. And the reason that I gave this example is because I know there are some of you that are in this position, especially when it comes to money or lifestyle, right? Because men are supposed to be protectors and providers. And the men that you can actually protect and provide better than them, you always feel it's necessary to dim your light so you don't outshine them. But the reality of it is you should be shining. But what you want to do is find a partner that shines just as much as you instead of dimming that light so you're not shining as much. Okay? Does that make sense? Right? Now, do you guys have any questions about the 5 we just discussed here today? Okay. So number 1 was progressing your relationship. Number 2, babying him. Number 3, you sacrifice your time. Number 4, you mold his apology. And number 5, dimming your life, or your light, not your life. Okay. Right. Does that make sense to all of you? Beautiful, beautiful people. Oh, and Sharice said it there in the chat. If you missed any of the points that I discussed, you go up to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is just above my head there on the right, top right corner of the screen. And you type in that on our YouTube channel and you'll be able to find all of the points there, right? My YouTube channel, Tomisin Atobatele. I'm live there at the same time. You can find all the points that we discussed, okay? Does that make sense? Rosemary says this is true. It's so painful. It's okay. A lot of our topics, they come with a little bit of pain, but they will definitely help you in your knowledge and understanding of relationships, and especially men, okay? Does that make sense? Diana says number 5, I went down from 172 pounds to 223 pounds. That is crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. That can do that to you. That can do that to you. I think you might say up. All right. Mon says, what if he craves admiration for his success? I mean, that's fine. Like there's nothing wrong with appreciating someone for their own success. You just don't want that to come at the expense of you having to make your success look like any less in order for him to feel good about himself, right? There's a balance there. Carissa says, is it possible to make changes after you're already a year in? I mean, of course, I would never say anything is impossible. But of course, when you're making drastic changes in any relationship that's already been established and the dynamics already been established, you're going to feel a lot of pushback. And in some cases, when you make some of these drastic changes that we talk about in the Players Club, the pushback you receive could lead to the guy saying, not my cup of tea, okay? Because if a guy's used to you being a certain way where he can control you in the relationship or get what he wants from you in the relationship, I'm just speaking in a general sense, and you change a lot of those things rapidly, guys might say, well, I only wanted you if I was going to be able to have all the power, right? And you don't. Excuse me, you don't want that. Zozo says, should I support my partner financially when he is going through long periods of months when he has issues? Well, here's the thing. Helping your partner get to where they want to go is not a bad thing, right, in itself. However, supporting your partner or doing the work for your partner when your partner seems to have no desire to take action for themselves is a bad thing. Okay, because we all go through our, down points in life, but especially as a man, nobody is going to come and save you. Okay, and this is exactly what I would say to my son, right, or any man that I was talking to, right? Nobody's coming to save you. So if you can't problem solve, you can't figure out how to get to where you want to go, you can't figure out how to make something happen out of your life, too bad, so sad. You will be in the corner while all the beautiful, amazing, smart, intelligent women sleep with the big dogs who actually figure it out. That's just the reality of life. And we can't feel sorry for the men who can't figure it out, can't problem solve, can't pull themselves off of the couch and get to where they need to go. Okay, that's just the reality. And it's not your job as a woman to feel sorry for those men. I hate to say it that way and make it sound so mean. Okay, you go and you get you a big dog that can actually take care of you and problem solve and do the things necessary to be a man and protect and provide. All the rest of the soy boys who are incapable of doing that or too scared to do that or don't know how to do that, they're living in fear, let them be in the corner and they can wank off to you sleeping with the big dogs and giving yourself to the big dogs and let their bloodline die out. Okay, I really mean that. You have to just be that ruthless because your happiness comes first. You can't be thinking, oh, but I just want to take care of him and help him because he's just going through such a sad. Well, does he want to help himself? If you're paying for his life or you're giving him money, is he doing anything to make money? Right? If you're just giving him money and he's not doing anything to make any money and he's continuing to struggle, trust you me, that ain't no big dog. I'll tell you that much. All right. I'll tell you that for free, all right? And you can't trust me, chat. I know it's painful because you think that you're supposed to be the ride or die and be with the guy throughout everything. And I'm not saying you shouldn't support your man, but there comes a certain point where if that man doesn't even want to support himself, you can't be the one that wants that more than he does. Okay, you can't be more motivated to have him have a lifestyle than he even is and more than he's taking action for himself. It just doesn't make sense. And you can't feel sorry for those guys because they're too shy or too scared or too fearful to do anything. It's such a waste of time. Okay? Cindy says, since I watch this show, I see soy boys everywhere. It's true. And that's the unfortunate part is that there are soy boys everywhere, okay? And they exist all around you, and they'll even try to date you. But the amazing part about that is joining the Players Club will help make that more obvious to you. And because you're in a small percentage of women who are actually taking in this knowledge and understanding these things better, you can give all the soy boys to the women who don't watch the Players Club, and you can take up, all of you in the Players Club can take all of the good men, the big dogs that can actually protect and provide and take care of you, right? And the soy boys can go to the women who don't have any of this knowledge or understanding, okay? I know that sounds sad, but at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself, and you can't feel sorry for the men who can't do anything. Okay, and you also can't be thinking about what are we going to do with the men who can't do anything? Just let their bloodline die off, right? Does that make sense? Someone says, what is a soy boy? A soy boy is just a terminology that we use in the Players Club for guys who are too scared to do anything, right? They don't want to take chances. They don't want to problem solve. They just want to stay comfortable playing video games, not basically doing anything for themselves. They might talk about I want to be rich, but they ain't taking no I want to be rich actions. Okay, they sit around in fear, too fearful to do anything, too fearful to go up to a girl, too fearful to apply to a job, too fearful to start a business, too fearful to be a man. Okay, they just have fear existing all around them, and it paralyzes them. Okay, those soy boys essentially don't want to do nothing hard. They just want to have things come to them, but that's not how life works. And as a man, no one's coming to save you. So we call them soy boys. All right. Does that make sense? K1 says, I liked a soy boy so bad, but I had to let him go. Good. Don't feel sorry for it, chat, or any of you. When you're with a soy boy, don't feel sorry about letting him go. I might have to have a whole show on that, right? Just getting over the fear of letting go of a soy boy, because I know that can be very painful, and you start thinking to yourself, but what is he going to do without me? Who cares? Who cares? Because when you're looking for a man who can protect and provide for you, and your Squirtle and in between your legs is dried up, drier than the Sahara Desert, because the guy who's supposed to be protecting and providing does nothing but eat Captain Crunch and play Fortnite, that's just not going to work for you. So we need to find a situation that actually works for you. And we got to move you forward into that situation instead of continuing to put you in this cycle with a soy boy that can't do nothing for you. Okay? You deserve more than that, right? Cassie said it. You don't deserve that. All right, chat. Let's hop into our next segment of the day, which is our React segment. Our React segment is where I react to videos that are around the TikTok universe that you guys have all sent to me. We're going to hop right into that segment. I'm going to react to some videos. Spam up your headphone emojis, spam up your baby oil emojis, spam up your camcorder emojis. But while I clean up here and get this board moved and get my chair in, I'm going to play for you guys an intermission video. And today's intermission video comes from Margarita. I know you guys love Margarita. We're going to play an intermission video. She's going to be discussing 4 non-negotiable feminine
Number 1, don't criticize, don't sulk, don't hold a grudge. These principles, it's almost like, there's principles to Christianity, there's principles to Buddhism. This is the principles to become her, okay? These principles are vital, that you don't criticize, don't sulk, and you don't hold a grudge. These things are true essential elements to femininity. They are truly essential to femininity because these things sometimes get confused with being a good girl. Like, the guy's going to like you more if you don't complain, if you don't sulk, if you don't hold a grudge, all these things, right? They get confused with like being a good girl, but they're not. They are energetically vital and pivotal for you to be a woman that attracts energetically all the good things in your life. You need to try this in your life and see how things change. Never complain, never explain. Don't criticize. Don't be like, why are you wearing that? Why are you a slob? Why are you like this? Why are you like that? Then sulking, oh, you never do this for me. You never do that for me. And then you're like, I'm holding a grudge against you. I'm so angry. Try and not do those things. Try and come from a place where if somebody does not deserve your energy, they're just not deserving of it. They're just not a part of your life, They just, you pull away from them. You pull away from them being in your life by virtue of them not doing the things. By all means, communicate to people. Look, I don't like when you did that, Frank. I don't like it when you do that. That upsets me. I don't enjoy it. But don't berate, hold grudges, sulk. it won't make you more appealing. Well, actually, it will make you more appealing and everyone will chase you. That's the truth. But it's not through the purpose of becoming more appealing to random men. The purpose of this here situation is for it to shift your energy. And that feminine energy means that you don't try and control people. You let people be who they want to be, and you be who you want to be. You will develop queen-like energy. I want you to envision a character in a movie who is always grumbling and criticizing. Oh, John, I don't like it when you do that. Who is that character? Is that character the queen? Is that character Khaleesi? Is that character any of the queens you see on dramas? Because dramas, they represent life, right? People try and denote those kind of characters in drama to represent life. Queens aren't surly, sulky, grudge holding, and all of the above. Queens are reserved almost. You've got to cultivate that princess queen energy. They're either playful like a princess or they are careful with their energy and who they give it to. Do you know who you're acting like when you're acting all like naggy, criticizing and grudge holding? And forget how the guy sees you in this situation. I'm just meaning it in a real way. You're acting like the cook in the kitchen. You know, that haggard woman in the medieval drama who's like, oh, John, I never, blah, 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 blah. You know, that Victorian drama. That's how you're acting. And if that's the energy you want to present into this world, if that's what you think your, reality, your energy, your authenticity is, then you be the haggard woman, yeah? A high value man wants a high value woman. So when you are acting all sulky, criticky, grudgy, annoyed at John because he's not doing what you want to do, maybe you and John actually match. Maybe you are him lying on the couch with his beer belly, never doing anything, and you going around grumbling. Because that's kind of like a match made in heaven, It's always like Homer Simpson, that kind of guy and the woman who's nagging him. Why not imagine that kind of guy who's never getting it right, never doing the right thing, never asking you out, with a queen, with a freaking swan-like queen? It would never happen. Those two just wouldn't happen. And I think that's a lot of times what we are scared of. We are scared to be in our true feminine, our true essence of being her, our true God-given energy and who we are, because we are scared that the low value, they're giving us low value. No human being is low value, but they're giving us low value. Men won't be able to be with us. And we're scared that we can't be the metaphoric pooper scooper of the cat poo that is these men. And if you become that high status woman, you will naturally repel the men that you don't want to be with. And you will have to up level. You will have to up level. I remember doing a practice in one of my courses where with a
Already, all right. Let's hop right into this thing here and see who we got in the TikTok universe, all right?
Some of these men genuinely don't care to get to know you. They just want to experience you. So let's talk about it. Unfortunately, a guy can literally do the right things, can say the right things, can communicate, can take you out on dates, literally everything, only for him to actually not give a fuck about you. And this is why it's important to have enough discernment in yourself and confidence and security that you know exactly what you want and what you're looking for, and that you don't settle for someone's dusty, crusty, musty ass son. If you don't have pure intentions for me, at least communicate what you're looking for. So if it aligns with what I want, then we can go about it. If not, guess what? I'm gonna let you do your thing and I'm gonna move on. Crazy to me, because a lot of these men actually want to humble, very confident, secure women that take care of themselves mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, women that literally spend time and money on their looks, all because of what? Because they want to experience you as a person, because they want to experience the life that you're living, maybe the looks that you have, the body that you have. Our generation has gone to shits. Nothing is ever that genuine anymore. People always have some ulterior motive, and it's like, at least communicate what your motive is. It's important for us ladies to take our time with what we're looking for. Some of the
Actually, I know that this is scary to some of you, because when you hear about having boundaries and standards and stuff like that, you start thinking, well, I feel like the guys won't like me as much when I have boundaries and standards. And I feel like me standing up for myself is going to be very unattractive to them. Who cares? Who cares? And you really have to adopt that mentality. And I know it's very hard, Okay. And I know I'm just talking about it, we're here, we're chatting, so it sounds easy in theory, but you really have to adopt the mentality, who cares? Because the guy that actually wants to respect you and wants to put his best foot forward and wants to do what's required of him in his relationship with you, he won't care that you stand up for yourself or have self-respect or have boundaries. I'm not saying he won't care from the standpoint he'll ignore them. I'm saying he won't care from the standpoint of he'll expect that of someone he's going to make his wife. So that won't be an abnormal quality to have. The only guys who really have a problem with that are guys who really don't have the energy or the intention of investing themselves in you in terms of a long-term serious relationship. And those guys, you don't need to worry about what they think about you anyways. Are you following what I'm saying? Very, very, very important to never forget that. Because I know when people start talking about boundaries and standing up for yourself and, humbling the men that are just going to sit around and play games with you, sometimes you might start thinking, well, I still have to be attractive. You still can be attractive. It's possible to do both.
If you're ever wondering if he likes you, he doesn't.
Damn.
You're wondering because he doesn't like you. Damn. Okay? Men are black and white. Let's be for real. If he's not asking you out, it's because he doesn't want to go out with you. If he's not texting you, it's because he doesn't want to text you. Oh, I'm confused because he said this. No, stop. No, stop. Oh, but I really, really like him. No, you don't. Stop. Shut up. You're just bored.
Well, that part might actually be true. You might really actually like him.
Bored because you don't have a hobby outside of hanging out with your friends and media consumption. What the hell else are you going to do? Of course you think you like this guy. You don't have anything else to do. Please, anytime you start thinking about a guy and that's what you're doing with your time, that's how you're spending your fucking time, you need to go find something else to do. I don't care if it's professional frisbee throwing, okay? Or you need to pick up freaking knitting. Whatever it is, you have to do something else. Like, this is out of control. It's out of control. You're not confused. Men do not do mixed signals. There's no games here, okay? Like, very straight up, if he is not dating you, it's because he doesn't want to date you. And not everyone has good taste, so he's an idiot, whatever.
Someone said, I trust you, Margot Robbie, in the comments here. That was pretty funny when I seen that. I think... I hate when this happens.
If you're ever...
Some of these men...
I think that what she said has a lot of truth to it. Because, first of all, guys do make it pretty obvious when they like you. Okay, they're not that, emotionally slick. But also... you being confused is kind of like a weird version of gaslighting yourself into believing what you want to believe, which is not that he's not interested in you. And so because you don't want to believe that he's just not interested in you, you convince yourself of all these other things that may or may not be true because he's seeming very disinterested, instead of just accepting that he's not very interested and moving forward with your life. I know it's obviously easier said than done, but you have to start trusting your intuition and your ability to read situations. And you also have to start letting the men come to you. You can't be in your chasing era, your approaching era, however the kids are going to say it. And start thinking that, oh, I'm in my most strongest, powerful version of myself when I approach men. No, never, never, ever, never, ever, ever.
You know what's scary? I've never seen someone with a relationship that I want, so I don't know if the relationship that I want exists. And I think about that often. Like, people always ask me, they're like, oh my God, like, are you... like, you're single, like, do you, like, not like being single, like, shit like that? And it's not that I don't like being single. I like being single because I like myself. But I literally have never seen someone with the type of relationship that I want. Like, I feel like so many girls, like, that are, like, in relationships try to give me advice. I'm like, bitch, I don't want your relationship. So, you feel me? Like... worked for you, I guess. Like, I don't want that. Like, one of the best pieces of advice I could ever give you is don't take advice from someone whose life that you don't want. Like, take advice from people who, like, you would trade lives with them.
Okay, two things that I'll say to what she just said here. Number one is part of the reason you might not see someone else's relationship and want their relationship is because you're a whole human being, individual with your own perspective in life. And the way that you're going to then have a relationship with someone else who's their own human being and have their own perspective in life, the way you join together with someone is very unique and specific to the two of you, how you interact, your dynamic, and how you guys work. So your relationship is not necessarily meant to look like someone else's relationship because you're two separate individuals and your dynamic can be drastically different. The second thing with that is also when you're looking at someone else's relationship, even when you're perceiving it, even if that's your best friend, you still don't know completely what goes on in the intimate moments of that relationship outside of what you hear or what you see. So you're always going to be void of some context, some level of context when observing or perceiving someone else's relationship. And the third kind of thing here is don't ever get obsessed with the idea of looking to someone else's life to figure out how to find your happiness. You find your happiness by going on your own individual journey. Because even when you say to yourself, oh, I want a relationship like this, you immediately start making your life, you start trying to transform your life to be more like someone else's. Because the reality of it is, even though you might say, I want a relationship like this, that might not necessarily be the relationship that best serves you, the person that you are, and the way that you are. And sometimes we can even get wrong what we really need in a relationship by just looking towards what we think would look fun and be nice. There are qualities that we can see someone else have with a relationship with someone else and say, oh, that's really nice. I would love to have that. But if we were to actually have that based on our character, our lifestyle, the way that we live, our situation, that actually might be the worst thing for us. But, you know, a lot of times we're not thinking about stuff like that because we're just thinking about how someone else has what we don't have. Very tragic. Very tragic. Okay. That'll probably be another topic for my second channel. Whatever.
Ladies, how you communicate with him and your language with him will dictate whether he wants to move mountains for you and be motivated or whether he wants to close his ass off and go into the garage and eat his hungry man. Which one you want? See, language like, what the fuck you doing? You're an idiot. Why would you do something like
Wait, what is he? What?
him? And your language with him will dictate whether he wants to move mountains for you and be motivated or whether he wants to close his ass off and go into the garage and eat his hungry man. Which one you want? See, language like, what the fuck you doing? You're an idiot. Why would you do something like that? Dumb. Where the fuck you been? He's going to close off. He's going to give up. He's not going to feel like a man, definitely not one around you. And God forbid, he may even step out. I don't condone it, but he might. When you get talked to like that, like a child, he won't deal with it. Or, number two, is you let him know, you motivate him. You say, I know you're going through a lot. Where can I be of assistance? I appreciate that. Thank you. That meant so much to me. Or if he was going through a tough time, it's, I know that you are not being the man I know that you are, so you can lead us. How can I help? Because you are that guy. Yeah, I am. That's right, I am that motherfucking guy. You know what, sweetie? You're right. I am that guy. Now I need to go out and get it done because you believe, oh, now things change. You see how that worked? All you have to do is make a little tweak to your little chessboard piece, and here's what you do. But you end up fucking it up in the meantime. You end up challenging him and treating him like a child.
Okay, there's an asterisk here to what everything that he's saying. What he's referring to is women that are in long-term serious relationships with a man that acknowledges himself to be your boyfriend. We're not talking about doing this for random men that you meet on the street or a guy you met on Hinge. The reason he's talking about what he's referring to is your ability. It's like a superpower, actually, that you have as a woman to breathe life into your man, right? And to speak life into your man. I know it sounds weird, but actually one of your superpowers is the fact that when a man aligns himself with a woman that is really good, smart, intelligent, and is able to breathe life into him, he feels like Superman, like he can go out and do anything, take on the world. And that's kind of like the dynamic that works for us heterosexual people, that when you breathe life into your man and he feels like Superman, he's actually able to reach higher heights and do things that he literally would be incapable of doing because he doesn't have that internal and I guess external motivation coming from a woman that he loves, right? When you're with a guy, like seriously with a guy, you can either breathe life into him, or you can essentially suck the life out of him. And that really kind of depends on, a lot of different factors in your relationship. But that is like, don't think of it as a burden to you, think of it as a superpower that you possess, right? And that superpower that you possess, you can also utilize to get your man to move and shake for you in the ways that you want him to move and shake for you. That's actually the whole crux of the Players Club, is understanding how men receive things, absorb information, how they respond to things, that when you go and you want to get what you want, you know how to get what you want in a language that is familiar to men. And most of the time, it's not just, hey, do this for me, do that for me. But you can be strategic about positioning yourself in particular ways and inspiring particular thoughts, planting seeds inside him, and you get those things without you even having to actually ask for them. Okay, that's the whole crux of the Players Club. That's like a deeper conversation for another day, right? But this is very true here. For those of you in serious relationships with men that acknowledge themselves to be your boyfriend.
For any of y'all in seasons of heartbreak, I need to tell y'all something real quick that's gonna save you a lot of time, and it's not gonna sound nice, but you gotta hear this. They didn't want it with you, bro. They just didn't. They might fuck around and do it with someone else, but guess what? They didn't want to do it with you specifically. And guess what? Take it as personal as you fucking can, but don't go up to them personally. Don't go up to them personally. Don't go up to them personally. Take it on the chin, move on. Move on. Because guess what? Sitting here moping around about, oh, why the fuck can they do this to that and that and that? Why? No, bro, they don't want it with you, and that's why they're not in your life. Let people walk out of your life. Let them do what the fuck they want to do. And if they walk out of your life into someone else's,
Bro out in slow-mo.
for any of y'all in seasons of heartbreak, I need to tell y'all something.
That was facts. I like that. That was like an art piece, what he did there. Okay. I like what he did there. He got creative with the message. Okay. He did the slow-mo out with it. No notes. That was perfect. Okay. I like that. I love that.
A valuable lesson everybody needs to learn is like, bitch, it's okay to be the villain in somebody's story, bitch. Because the minute you start making decisions for yourself and doing things that align with your spirit and your mental health and what makes you better as a person, honoring your boundaries, bitch, everybody want to call you the motherfucking villain. And it's at this point, bitch, I don't give a fuck if I'm the villain. I'll be the villain. For my peace of mind and your lack thereof, I have to choose myself.
Is that the new style? Like the oversized glasses? I seen this exact style of glasses on another girl that we watched a video on. Is this like a new trend?
Like, they probably, it's so much shit. This, she did that. She don't know. To you, when I was letting you dog me out and do me crazy, I was a great this, a great that. But bitch, the minute I choose myself, now I'm a fucking villain, bitch. Like, and that's okay. I had to learn that. So it's okay to be the villain. Okay? Take your L, not even L. Just move on. Cause girl, fuck these people. Period. That's all I got.
We actually just talked about this earlier when we were talking about keeping your happiness first, and the example of the story of giving out your food, your chicken fried rice to all your different family members, and then you have nothing left for yourself, and then you're starving. That's part of the issue. When you're so worried about, oh, but I don't want to, say no to people. I don't want to have them disappointed in me or have them not like, who cares? Like, honestly, who cares? And realistically, the people that actually love you and genuinely care about you, they're not going to be offended by you saying no to them. The only people really offended that you would ever dare to say no to them are people who enjoy taking advantage of you on a regular, ongoing basis. And when they have to stop taking advantage of you because you actually want to stand up for yourself, all of a sudden it's a problem. Okay, those are the only people that have problems with that. People that don't actually care about you. People that are genuinely care about you and want your happiness, they don't have a problem with you choosing yourself at times as well, okay? Because you should choose yourself and you should be able to make you happy first. That shouldn't be an issue.
I've been in a relationship with a married man for about 19 years. We have a 17-year-old daughter.
She in our Discord? Sounds like someone in our Discord.
Just sent her to college. I love him, and I believe 100% that he is in love with me. Okay. But he's married.
Oh, not to you.
And not to me.
I should start taking calls or video chats.
And I know that that is not technically okay. I was her best friend, okay, for a while.
Not to you.
And not to me. And I know that that is not technically okay. I was her best friend, okay, for a while.
Okay.
And so I'm a horrible person in some ways, but she didn't help the situation.
I've said this before, but I'll say it again because this is the perfect example that mistresses actually keep the man in the marriage. You mean to tell me you've been with this man for 19 years, even had a child with this man, and he still hasn't left his wife in 19 years? You know why? Because he was never planning on doing it. He just needed somebody to help him stay in the marriage. Men who are cheating on their wives, they do it because they're looking for that 20%, and that's what you usually are to them. They're getting the bulk of what they want with their wife. That's why they never leave her. Then she tries to soothe her guilty conscience by saying, well, she did some things as well. Who told you that? He told you that? Of course he's going to make the wife sound horrible. How else could he get you to still be with him while he's still with her? She's got to be a monster and he's a tortured soul. And you've been falling for that line for 20 years. He's going to tell you whatever he needs to tell you to make you more comfortable with him.
You.
And not to me. And I know that that is not technically okay. I was her best friend, okay, for a while.
Okay.
And so I'm a horrible person in some ways, but she didn't help the situation.
I've said this before.
You know, what's actually putting me in pain is not this story in itself. It's that this story actually represents a lot of people that I help. Know this, and it's very tragic because in every situation, whether you're dating a married man or dating a man in a relationship, they always say the same few lines. And this is why I love our Discord time, because it kind of helps show you guys all the same lines that these type of men feed you. Whenever a guy's in a relationship or he's married to someone else and he's telling you about his relationship, they're always going to make it sound like this relationship is so horrible. Oh my God, we're literally going to break up tomorrow. Oh my God, I'm buying a pen from Staples literally in the next couple of hours so I can sign the divorce papers. Oh my God, I'm literally about to touch the ink onto the divorce paper and sign my name and it's going to be absolutely over. And they always make it sound like they're getting divorced tomorrow. Heck, they're getting divorced in a couple of hours. They never do. They never do. Because if they really were serious about doing it, they would just do it. The only reason they're telling you this big, long sob story is because they're not going to do it. But they just want to continue having you smoke that hopium. Right? When that hopium hits your lungs, hits your bloodstream, you start feeling good and you forget the fact that none of this stuff makes sense. Right? You know how getting high, getting drunk washes all your problems away? When you hit that hopium, you forget all your problems and you forget all the stuff that was making sense to you before that you actually wanted to, take action on. You're like, oh, never mind. Just got a hit of that hopium and I don't have no problems no more. No issues no more. You can do whatever. Talk to me however. We can continue doing this. And I'll be second fiddle. Because I'm not really second fiddle. I'm kind of like your real wife because your real wife doesn't make you happy. Let's go on to our next one.
This is how you can tell if you are ready to move in with your partner. Cohabitation is often one of the biggest relationship steps, but it also carries risks, so being prepared is crucial. It's not unusual for people to opt to live together for reasons of convenience. For example, a lease runs out or you're moving to be closer to them. And as a result, the bigger conversation about whether this is a good time to be doing this can be missed. You want to be prepared, and that means conversations about money, who pays for what, household responsibilities, what your expectations are.
He's not balling? He doesn't just pay for it all? I don't know.
And how you will use the space. Part of deciding the when is also a recognition of whether your relationship is ready for these kinds of conversations. If you can't or won't have these conversations, you may not be ready for this transition. You also want to be clear for each of you on whether this is a choice of convenience, to save money, connectedness, to spend more time together, or commitment, that this is the beginning of a longer lifetime commitment, such as marriage. Being able to work through compromise and disagreement is also a requirement for living together, and observing how that has been working out in your relationship is essential.
This is a really healthy way of going about it. I will say this is one of those ones that my way of going about it is obviously different, but the way everyone else goes about it is completely fine, right? It definitely is a discussion, and you definitely need to know what the expectations are. Me personally, I'm just like I'll pay for everything, and you know, if you're gonna come live with me, I'm not gonna be like, hey, so make sure that you pay your half of the rent today because you owe exactly $2,575.33. I'm not doing that, but I understand everyone's a little bit different. So for some people, like that's a discussion that needs to be had, right? What are the expectations? What are the responsibilities of both parties? I also think that this should only come if you're in a very, very serious state in your relationship. I don't think that this should be something that's happening. If you don't already know how that guy lives, I don't think that this is something that should be happening, right? And when I say if you don't already know how he lives, like if you're finding out for the first time that he leaves his underwear in the sink when you move in with him on the first day, that's a problem, okay? That's why you kind of, there's always an order of operations and you kind of move your way up into the next level and the next level. So if you know you're open to living with the guy, sleep over for, you know, not all the time, but sleep over some days and see what it's like to see how not only just sleeping over on weekends when he has nothing to do, but see what it's like to sleep over 1 or 2 nights when he actually has like work in the morning, right? And see how he goes through his entire day with you there. That's a much more close look into what a regular everyday would be like with you and him when you guys actually have stuff to do, rather than just the, you know, I have no responsibilities today, we can live like we're on vacation, right? That's not really representative of living with someone, all right? Someone said in the sink. Trust me, you never know how people might be living, all right? Let's hop into our next segment of the day. Do you all know what time it is? You should know what time it is. If you don't, I'm going to share it with you. It's an amazing time. It's an awesome time. It's the time where you're going to laugh and cry. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your home. If you don't know what time it is, I'm going to tell you what time. All right, chat. Let's hop into our Discord chat. For those of you who are unfamiliar with how this works here, our Discord is essentially where all the amazing members of our Players Club community get a space to ask me questions of their relationship or their situationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, I'll explain to you these couple of different ways that you guys are able to submit a question to me, that you can submit that to me here if you want to and you're watching this right now. So your first way to submit a question is by going into our free relationship advice section here, which we have available to you through the link in the bio on TikTok or the link in the description on YouTube. Go into our free section where it just says relationship advice. You can drop your question in and I will answer that on a first come, first serve basis. So obviously I have other questions to get to before I can get to yours if you submit it today. So you're going to have to be patient in that sense. Now, if you don't want to wait a couple of weeks for me to get to your question, you also have the opportunity to send in your question via our relationship advice premium section, which is like a skip the line pass. So when you donate to the show and you put your question in here, I read these out first before I go into our free section. So the way you do that is by going to the TikTok link or the link in the description, click where it says premium relationship advice. You donate to the show. And when you donate to the show, you're going to be prompted to put in your Discord username and the title of your question. And then I see on my phone that that's you. I can verify that that's you and that's your question, that you're supposed to be in this section because you donate to the show. And then you get to skip the line of people without having to wait. The third option here is for you to send me in a private relationship advice question. I just finished doing a couple of them, a couple more. I have a lot to do, but I finished doing a couple more just before the show. And you can send me in a private question if you don't want to have your business out on the, on the show and stuff like that. And I answer your question privately via your email, and I send you a voice message, okay, on your email back when you fill that out and send in your message, okay? So you have multiple options there. Oh, by the way, you know what I'm thinking? If you guys want to, we can organize a way in the Discord where at this time where I'm taking questions, I can have all of you just line up in our video chat section. I just need to figure out how that's going to work. And then I can start taking your questions via video chat. If you guys want that, please spam up yes in the chat so that when I watch this back, I'll know that this is something that you guys want. And if you want to be the person video chatting with me or whatever, send Missy America in our Discord a message, okay? She'll be able to direct you to how to do that, and we'll put you in a group. That way we can actually get that done, right? We'll video chat some of these questions, all right? So let's start off with our first premium question here, right? So Madison says, "Hi, Tomisin. I'm a victim of multiple situations and stigmatization." Oh, it's one of these type of questions today. Okay. I lost my card a few months ago, a few months out of high school, and found out the guy was never committed to me. Okay. It was difficult to move forward for a very long time, but I have prospered in many aspects of my life since that situation. He wasn't the best at appetizers. What do you mean? Or the entree itself. So you mean like he was bad at foreplay? Is that what you're trying to say? But he had mommy issues and wanted to validate the idea that he was good at what he was doing. And being in his presence mattered to me more than his performance. So I pretended to nut for his pleasure. Yeah, we just started, but we whenever it comes, we got to do it, all right? We just started, all right? So Madison's just giving us her truth, but we're going to stand up here. We're gonna take a quick stretch. I already once Madison started her message with "digmatized," I knew we're gonna be in for something. Okay, so I'm just gonna take a stretch here. It's just don't worry about me, chat. I'm just I just have to realign the chakras, make sure I'm all good. I gotta be centered when we have these type of conversations to make sure I'm not discombobulated and don't freak out or anything like that. All right, so. Okay, you're pretending to bust a nut for his pleasure. This is not good already, all right? The only thing he was okay at was talking during the deed, which helped me discover my verbal rhymes with pink. Okay, so Kinks for those of you who don't know what she's saying. Since this is a Wattpad Discord question, okay? So just if you're under 20 years old, please get out of our Discord, okay? Right? Or get out of the show here, all right? This is your time to leave. Since him and I have had a total of 2 pineapple partners since, how would you know that he's only had 2? How would you know that? How would you verify that? But they have done the same thing. Wifed another girl. Wait, you said, since him, I've had a total of 2 pineapple partners since, but they have done the same thing. Wifed another girl after falsely securing plans with me. I'm 23 now and would love to commit to someone who has worked for me and actually wants me as a person. At the same time, I find it extremely difficult to consider interest in men, knowing that the core of their efforts are pineapples. I enjoyed it in the period of my life when I had it, even though it never did anything for me. I mean, well, to be fair, you discovered something about yourself, like one of the things that you really like, which that's not doing nothing, right? You're not nutting, you're not coming, but it's doing something in terms of teaching you about what you like. So there's a positive there. However, removed from that period, it is almost impossible for me to imagine the thought of anyone else in me. Okay. Partially because high school guy has been the only one who knew how to talk to me through my fake nuts so far. I'm not laughing at you, Madison. It's just the way you're saying that is that's funny. Okay. You have to admit that's funny. Okay. Why are you saying that like that? He's talking you through your fake nuts. So like, like they have the terminology, oh, I bet he talks you through it. You're kind of saying that, but you're not actually, there's no through it. There's no through anything, right? You're not doing anything, but it's the fakeness. Anyways, whatever. So far, mainly because I no longer want to attach myself to random people in the world, I feel such hard boundaries will repel most men. Or repel the men who aren't looking to invest in you, for real. As most men are natural creatures of pineapples and likely will lose interest in the relationship without it and search for it somewhere else. So then you say to yourself, I don't give a damn. You don't like me. You only want to sleep with me. Go somewhere else to find that. I've turned to the Players Club since its launch, and I have not participated in any dating activities in over a year to help heal my traumas and gain control of my emotions and decisions. This has helped to clear my mind of any pineapple-y cloudness and change my outlook on it forever. I now fear that once someone actually commits to me for the first time and I give in to his no pineapple mentality for them, it will be hard to regroup if the partner that I choose reverses my progress. I am aware men withhold/withdraw commitment regardless of the circumstances of their partner, whether they are dating, engaged, or married. Am I able to withhold my body in that manner? It's really your choice, you know that, right? Or will I need to submit to my man's physical needs to maintain that commitment, even after making things official? Thank you so muchy. Okay. So Madison, here's the thing that you need to understand. What you want and you expect is what matters more than anything. See, I know that you're a woman and you think, oh, but the man leads and he tells me what he wants and he tells me if he wants me. So you're thinking he has all the control. But what you don't realize is the men that approach you want something from you. Okay. And whether it be access to you, right, or to sleep with you, whatever, they want something from you. And because they want something from you, you have all the quote unquote negotiating power, meaning you get to set the terms of the only types of men that will get access to you. So if you get to set the terms and you feel to yourself, hey, I'm not going to, just easily give my body away to you just simply because you're horned up and you want to pretend to like me to sleep with me, that's your choice. And the men who then approach you because they want access to you, their only choice, if they're going to get access to you, is to abide by your rules. And if that doesn't work for them or that frustrates them, they can get the F. All right. And that really has to be your approach and your thought process as it relates to dating men and, going out with guys. Because the moment you start living in a fear state, saying to yourself, oh, but what if, my boundaries are too much that he doesn't like me anymore or he doesn't want to be with me anymore. The moment you start dating, because you said right now you're not dating, but the moment you start dating and you find a guy that you kind of like and you realize, hey, maybe me having too much strong boundaries will push this guy away, you're going to start being in a fearful state. And then you're going to start doing what? You're going to start turning into a pick-me-sha, trying to get him to like you and trying to eliminate your boundaries to make it easier for him to like you. And ironically, that will just make you more unattractive to him, but an easier target for him to use and take advantage of, right? And the only person that ends up sad and unhappy when he does that is you. So you don't even want to put yourself in that position, in that position. So stick to your guns, stick to what you know, what you value, your morals and how you want to go about a relationship. Stick to your pace as well. Very important. The pace that is comfortable to you, and don't adjust that for anyone. and have the mindset going into this, I'm looking for a man who can meet my standards at my pace. Any man that can't do that is not even the man that I'm looking for. When you start reversing your thought process to are you what I'm looking for instead of can I be what you're looking for, it changes your whole perspective and it changes the energy that you bring to dates. Okay? Right? Oops. Let me go to our next premium question here. Okay. Our next question comes from Starshine. Okay. So Starshine says, "Hi, Tommy. Thank you for your relentless service. I want to ask if I'm dating a guy and go out with him once per week for 3 months, when can I expect to have the will you be my girlfriend conversation?" Okay. If you're dating a guy for 3 months, here's the thing. There is no cookie cutter answer to exactly what period of time he should ask you to be his girlfriend in that relationship. And the reason that I say that is because you could be talking to a guy for 3 months, and in that 3 months, you could have seen him once every 3 weeks or once every 2 weeks. And so by the time you add up the amount of times you've actually spent some in-person quality time with him, you're only, on less than 10, right? And that's not really going to be, that's not going to be enough or enough quality or enough understanding of that other human being to really even determine, do I want this to be my girlfriend, or do I want this to be my boyfriend? So you also have to be gauging what's the frequency we're seeing each other, how much have I learned about him, have I seen him in the range of emotional states, right? And this should also be, if he's a serious man, this should also be things that he's thinking about or considering when he's dating you. Because he should be considering, do I really know her well enough to actually commit to her for real? Because making her my girlfriend is essentially like saying you're like the level down from becoming my wife. So if I can't foresee you being my wife, or I have no intention of making you my wife, why am I considering making you my girlfriend? Guys should also be thinking that long term as well. And that process is that order of operations. You have to go through that process before you can get to, we're dating type of thing. Okay. When is the exclusivity talk expected to happen? Provided that I like him and I'm ready to enter the next phase. Well, once again, that also matters the frequency in which you see each other and what things or situations you guys have been able to see each other in throughout that process. What I mean by that is you can date someone for 3 months and only go on dinner dates with them. Do you know them? Sure, you know them a little bit better than being a stranger, but have you seen them angry, upset, stressed out? Have you seen them when they have work problems, family problems, friendship problems, right? Have you seen them do other things other than just be available to you on a Saturday night? Also, before this happens, should I be worried about any potential girls he could be texting/sleeping with? How to navigate this early period of uncertainty while I'm waiting for him to initiate exclusivity and make it official, provided that I can't guarantee this will even happen. My approach, the approach that I recommend to you, is when you're the queen bee, you don't worry yourself about peasants. I understand it's painful when you first start dating a guy and there's not really necessarily like, he's not a bad person for dating other people because it's so early, and neither will you be. And that can be kind of like a very nerve-wracking, awkward in-between stage. In that stage, you don't worry yourself about peasants, okay? Meaning you don't get too discombobulated about the fact he's dating other people. Because what can happen is you can get into a rabbit hole where you spend all of your time on your date with him talking about other girls that he's dating or seeing. Because you're anxious about that. And when you do that, you actually make those girls seem bigger in his eyes and seem more important, because even on his date with you, he begins talking about those other girls and thinking about those other girls. So what you want to that's what you don't want to happen. What you want to happen instead is your dates are so much about you that when he's not with you, he's thinking about you, not the opposite way around, right? When he's with you, he's thinking and talking about another woman, right? And so that should happen up until he makes the decision for himself that I want to be exclusive with you, okay? I know that you want exclusivity. There's nothing wrong with that. But you cannot be the person to progress that forward for him. If he never talks about that or never mentions that, then you know what he really wants here. And that's the answer that you really need, okay? How long is too long when it comes to waiting for this talk? If we take it slow in the beginning, as you advise, it could take months for the guy to be confident that he knows me well enough to want a relationship. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. Also, in your opinion, what is one foolproof way to motivate and inspire the desire in a guy to have this talk with you, apart from not having pineapples prior to it? So this talk can happen when you guys begin talking about your future. Now, you're not going to say, hey, what do you want for the future of me and you in this relationship? Okay, that's too direct, and guys love to skirt around those answers. When you start asking men, what do you want for the future of yourself? Where do you foresee yourself? So you can start asking questions like this. Where do you foresee yourself in the next year? How do you want to be living? What are some of the things you want for your life? I know these sound like really deep questions, but these are the type of deep conversations you need to be having with someone you plan on being serious with. What do you want for yourself in the next year or so, or the next 6 years, right? That's a question that sounds like, oh, it's based around you and your own life. But a guy who actually sees you being his girlfriend or has the intention of making you his girlfriend, oh, I see myself working here doing this, and also, us being in a relationship and us taking the next level, right? If he is thinking about you and including you in his life, when you ask him a question about his life in the future, right, especially in the near future, he will include you in that if he actually sees you or wants you to be in that. Now, if you ask him a question about his own life and he doesn't really think about you being in that, you'll likely hear his response be super unrelated to you or anything to do in your relationship with him, okay? So that's a little bit of a sign to try to help you get an understanding of his thought process, okay? It's very easy for guys to loop you into their life when they actually think of you in being in their life. When they're not thinking of you being in their life, when they talk about themselves, they'll just be talking about themselves. They won't even mention you or your relationship, okay? So that's an easy way to start talking about the future in a way that's a little bit more indirect, okay? I hope that answers all your questions. Let's go to our next one here. Our next one comes from S, okay? So S says, can you come back from being angry? Okay. In this situation, I think it might be too late, and I'm already processing things as a breakup. However, I want to process the situation and think about what I would do if he comes back, but more importantly, in the future dating scenarios. Okay. I'm the same person who was talking to a guy long distance in France. If you remember, he said he would get me a gift for my birthday, which was last week. But then I guess he got cold feet or something. He wished me happy birthday, but then perhaps made the mistake of asking if I should still expect, or sorry, you made the mistake, you might say. I perhaps made the mistake of asking if I should still expect a gift, and it all went downhill from there. He said sorry and that he didn't. I asked what's on his mind. He said basically that it was pointless and that I wouldn't care or be interested. It was my birthday and I didn't want to waste too much time on this conversation. So I said we can finish this conversation later. But then I did what you said not to do today and told him that I want to clear things up because I felt disrespected and that my time was being wasted. Okay, if you feel like that, just withdraw. No need to have a big speech, okay? I know you said it was a mistake, but I'm just, reminding. It was a super angry message, but it was definitely kind of confrontational and annoyed. He left me on red. Chat, what do I always say? Especially when you're not dating that man, sending him that big long message and explanation of why he did you wrong and what he's doing wrong and what he needs to fix and why it was bad. It never works. Never does anything. They never come to any realization and they never make a change, okay? Guys only make changes out of necessity, okay? Only when they see something actually has to change because maybe the girl they want is no longer interested do they make a change. This is not doing what you want it to do. The last time I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but this is really clear cut as being just mean and petty. No, I would actually classify this as he doesn't care. Okay, I know that that hurts, but he doesn't care. And when I say he doesn't care, I mean he doesn't care enough about you or the relationship to actually want to like make this better or to kind of like have a conversation with you, right? Because right just now you said specifically I felt disrespected, right? And I felt like my time was being wasted. I mean, it's a little bit confrontational, right? And I say not to do it, but you have expressed that you're upset about something and you don't like what's going on. For him to literally just leave that on red, that's not being petty. That simply means I don't care about her discomfort, even to the point where when she addresses her discomfort, it doesn't matter to me. I can't be bothered to respond to her because her happiness is completely unimportant to me. You have to understand like how like serious this is. You told him you're uncomfortable and upset with something that he did to you, and he didn't even bother to respond to you. Not even a response. Not even an acknowledgement of the fact that you're upset, let alone coming up with a plan or, conflict resolution. He didn't even bother to acknowledge that you're upset. That means he literally does not care. And I need you to take that to heart. I'm just going to try to take this L, as you should. However, theoretically, is it possible to regain power in this situation? We've known each other for about 2 months. In general, how would you rebalance a situation where you did get upset or send a call out message and it made the guy get defensive or not respond? Well, there's a difference between getting defensive and ignoring you. He didn't get defensive. He just straight up ignored you, which is so much worse. Okay. Also, additional question. How do you make a guy feel like you truly see him better than anyone else? What do you mean by that? Okay. You're starting to worry me here. What do you mean? I love to hear your thoughts now and also would love to see a full show on this. Okay. I'll save this question for after. Now, as it relates to you and this guy, him leaving you on red is a clear sign he doesn't care. He doesn't care about your happiness. He doesn't care about whether this relationship is going well or not. He just doesn't care. He can't be bothered. Okay? So you shouldn't bother bothering him if he can't be bothered to respond to you or acknowledge the fact that you're upset. Now, I'm going to give you some very simple cookie cutter actionable items here. You're not going to text him or acknowledge him or text or send him memes or DMs or Snapchats or anything. Again, that's it for you. Cut it off. Okay. You don't have to block him, but you're not going to message him or do anything with him. You're going to give it 2 weeks. In 14 days, if he does not say anything to you about the situation, right? Already it's bad, but I just want to give you a hard, fast timeline. In 2 weeks, if he does not say anything to you, address this at all, and just completely ignores you, or if his next message to you within this 2 weeks is just, hey, what's up? Or hope you're doing well, something generic like that, just get rid of him. Get rid of him. And don't bother even, if he does acknowledge this after that, don't bother even having conversation with him, okay? Honestly and truthfully, him ignoring you the first time, right, already is enough. But by the 2 week span, nothing coming from this, no conversation, no nothing. Get rid of this guy out of your life, okay? Don't even bother responding to him no matter what he says after that. Now, in addition, let's just say for the sake of argument, tomorrow he sends you a message apologizing, making some sort of excuse, whatever. You just say, okay. Don't go on a whole tirade about how you want him to fix this and how you want him to fix that and blah, 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 blah. You just say, okay. And what I mean by that is you say okay to if he apologizes, explains himself and then tells you in the future he will do this and do that, right? And actually seems like he wants to take accountability and wants to fix the situation. Then you allow him to fix the situation. This is assuming he messages you tomorrow, right? And he's actually serious. If he's not serious about, making an apology, acknowledging his faults, taking accountability, any of that stuff, or you have to force that out of him, just remove him out of your phone. You might as well unfollow him, might as well get rid of him and just never speak to him again. It's only been 2 months of your life, but it's better for you to just take your L. And truthfully, I'll be honest with you, if he hasn't responded to you after the first, day of you saying that you felt disrespected, I honestly don't think that you should even bother yourself responding to him after this. Because if that's not considered an urgent message for him to respond to, or at least acknowledge, I don't think there's any scenario in which you can take it seriously when he tells you that he actually wants to be in a relationship with you. Because why on God's green earth would he hear you send him a message, well, see you, sorry, send a message like that and not even think that that even requires any sort of acknowledgement? Like, that just means he doesn't care about you or this relationship with you, truthfully and honestly. Okay? So if you were like my sister or something like that, I would tell you this is already a lost cause. But I know you're asking other questions, which is why I'm giving you alternatives as well. But I don't think any guy who can see you message that and then leave you on red, not even an acknowledgement, is even worth your time or energy. Okay, I'll be honest with you on that. All right, let's go on to, we'll do one more free question here. Okay, so TT says, follow up to ramen / grinding date. Yeah. Hello all. This is a follow-up message to the one I sent last month. I was the girl who had a date at a ramen restaurant. Yes, it was a restaurant that sold Japanese ramen noodles. Okay, yeah, because we thought you were eating ramen noodles in your house with him. That was going to be really bad. And also that had the second date drinking and grinding with the DJ I met at a work event, right? Dirty dancing, you dirty girl. First, thank you, Tomisin. You were on the money with this man. He barely initiated contact and made false promises about even calling me back after a phone call. I ended up telling him that we should just be friends, and he never responded. Isn't that I love the Discord because it helps to show all of you that the men give very, very similar responses in all of these situations. So when I advise you guys on stuff, I'm not just pulling it out of my butt. It's from helping all hundreds of you so many times with all of these guys that I actually can predict their behavior. Not because I'm so smart, but because like that's really just the behavior and the response a lot of the times, right? To be clear, we never had pineapples, and the pineapple stuff consisted of kissing and grinding. So you guys didn't actually sleep together, but you kissing, grinding in the club, doing your dirty dancing. Okay. I am 30 and met my ex when I was 20. Me and him broke up last year. So this is all new. The world of grown F-boys is something else, and wouldn't know what to do without Tomisin and the crew. You are all amazing, and you don't know how you've been dealing with these men recently. Thank you so much, Tomisin. You are so smart, and your ability to communicate concepts is incredible. Much love. Thank you so much, TT, and I'm glad for you that you're kind of realizing what's going on here, okay? For those of you who are unaware, right, it was just a guy that she was essentially unsure of what his intentions were, and we came to figure out that his intentions were not very serious, okay? Anytime, chat, also just be aware, right? Anytime you go out with a guy and a lot of the conversation, a lot of the interaction is very, touch focused, physical focused, pineapple focused, which just means sex, right? Then you know what's going on in his mind, right? You know what he's trying to shoot for. You know where, things are going. And the thing about it is some slick guys might sneak in there. Oh, I'm so, touchy-feely with you. I talk about pineapples with you and sex with you so much because I really like you and I really want you to be my girlfriend. But just be aware that's a lie. Okay, it's a bold-faced lie. And when you sit back, that's why doing nothing is the most powerful thing you can ever do in a relationship. Because when you do nothing, you actually allow the men to show you how serious or unserious they are. And it becomes very obvious to you because instead of you filling that space with your own words, your own actions, your own, you approaching him or pursuing him, you are only left to fill that space with his own desire to take action. And when you realize that he doesn't have any desire to take action, then you easily are very, very clear on what you should do next, which is walk away. Okay. Right. Colorado says men of all ages have the same response. A lot of the time it's they don't outgrow their responses to situations. All right, chat. That's the show for today. Let me make sure I do some of these donations here. So Tracy Niles donated $10 in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much, Tracy Niles. Tracy Niles says, Tomisin, you are truly a blessing. What would we do without your wisdom? God bless you and the players. Love you big. Thank you so much, Tracy Niles. Love you too. By the way, chat, I think so. What I'm going to do now, make sure you go on my YouTube page because I'm going to make a a separate channel for just our Discord questions. So I'm gonna, I have a recording of all of our Discord questions that we've done. I'm gonna do a separate channel where I post those on like on a YouTube page for you guys to rewatch just as the Discord questions, right? And then I'm also gonna do a separate channel for my reactions as well. So I'm going to attach that. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to attach that to my main channel so that it's all cohesive there for you guys and you guys can watch. Because I know some of you guys like all the different segments, and I want to make sure you guys are able to get access to all of those different segments without watching the whole episode, right? So I'll make sure to do that. That's going to be my thing on the docket for next week as well. So be on the lookout for that. All right. For those of you who are on TikTok and you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just Tomisin_Tub right above my head on the top left corner of the screen. And for those of you who are on YouTube, it's on the bottom, or it's in the link in the description there. Just go into the description, fumble around. You'll find my Instagram there if you want to follow me there. For those of you who are on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show because you missed parts of it or you came late, whatever it may be, you can always rewatch the show. It's just my YouTube name, Tomisin Atobatele, right on YouTube. You go there, go into the live section. You'll see this live stream along with all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. And you'll be able to also see the YouTube and TikTok chat embedded in the video. So when you rewatch the show back, you don't miss a moment of conversation from all the jokesters in the chat. All right. I am here every weekday, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. EST. So for those of you who want to catch me live again, I'm going to be live tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. Figure out what time that is in your time zone. And until we meet again tomorrow, arrivederci, goodbye, au revoir, hasta la vista, sayonara, adios, ciao, salam, bon voyage! And I'll see you again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love you so much, so much. Okay?